Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So reading from the Bhagavad-Gita as it is, chapter 18, the perfection of renunciation, text number 54. A very famous verse. Prabhupada would always quote this, being in the transcendental platform. We will see if we are on that platform, or on the way to that platform, or very far away from that platform. Brahma-bhūtaḥ prasannātmā na śocati na kāṅkṣati samaḥ sarveṣu bhūteṣu mad-bhaktiṁ labhate parām brahma-bhūtaḥ prasannātmā na śocati na kāṅkṣati samaḥ sarveṣu bhūteṣu mad-bhaktiṁ labhate parām brahma-bhūtaḥ prasannātmā na śocati na kāṅkṣati samaḥ sarveṣu bhūteṣu mad-bhaktiṁ labhate parām. Forward meaning, brahma-bhūtaḥ, being one with the Absolute. Prasanna-ātmā, fully joyful. Never. Śocati, laments. Never. Kāṅkṣati, desires. Samaḥ, equally disposed. Sarveṣu, to all. Bhūteṣu, living entities. Mad-bhaktiṁ, my devotional service. Labhate, gains. Parām, transcendental. Translation. One who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Everybody please repeat. One who is thus transcendentally situated at once realizes the Supreme Brahman and becomes fully joyful. He never laments or desires to have anything. He is equally disposed toward every living entity. In that state, he attains pure devotional service unto me. Srila Prabhupada's purport. To the impersonalist, achieving the brahma-bhūtaḥ stage, becoming one with the Absolute, is the last word. But for the personalist or pure devotee, one has to go still further to become engaged in pure devotional service. This means that one who is engaged in pure devotional service to the Supreme Lord is already in a state of liberation called brahma-bhūtaḥ, oneness with the Absolute. Without being one with the Supreme, the Absolute, one cannot render service unto Him. In the Absolute conception, there is no difference between the served and the servitor, yet the distinction is there in a higher spiritual sense. In the material concept of life, when one works for sense gratification, there is misery. But in the absolute world, when one is engaged in pure devotional service, there is no misery. The devotee in Krishna consciousness has nothing for which to lament or desire. Since God is full, a living entity who is engaged in God's service, in Krishna consciousness, becomes also full in himself. He is just like a river cleansed of all dirty water. Because a pure devotee has no thought other than Krishna, he is naturally always joyful. He does not lament for any material loss or aspire for gain, because he is full in the service of the Lord. He has no desire for material enjoyment, because he knows that every living entity is a fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and therefore eternally a servant. He does not see in the material world someone as higher and someone is as lower. Higher and lower positions are ephemeral, and a devotee has nothing to do with ephemeral appearances or disappearances. For him, stone and gold are of equal value. This is the brahma-bhūtaḥ stage. And this stage is attained very easily by the pure devotee. In that stage of existence, the idea of becoming one with the Supreme Brahman and annihilating one's individuality becomes hellish. The idea of attaining the heavenly kingdom becomes phantasmagoria. And the senses are like serpents whose poisoned teeth are broken. As there is no fear of a serpent with broken teeth, there is no fear from the senses when they are automatically controlled. The world is miserable for the materially infected person, but for a devotee, the entire world is as good as Vaikuntha, or the spiritual sky. The highest personality in this material universe is no more significant than an ant for a devotee. Such a stage can be achieved by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, who preached pure devotional service in this age. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Brahma-bhūtaḥ prasannātmā na śocati na kāṅkṣati samaḥ sarveṣu bhūteṣu mad-bhaktiṁ labhate parām. This verse, very, very important. We can gauge our advancement in Krishna consciousness from this verse. Understanding that the one who is in the transcendental platform, who is in the brahma-bhūtaḥ platform, the stage whereby one is being one with the Absolute, is not the same as the impersonalist idea of being one. Being one with the Absolute for the impersonalist means merging, becoming one. It's like their purpose is to attain that position whereby they merge. What their goal is to merge with the light, the effulgence, the Brahman effulgence, the light coming from the body of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, there are three aspects of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Supreme Absolute Truth, Brahm-eti, Paramat-eti, Bhagavan-eti, Sabjate. So when we say Brahman, means this is the impersonal aspect. Prabhupada would always give an example of the sun rays, the sun planet, and the predominating deity of the sun. So when we see the sun rays, we can tell that the sun is out there, it's rising up. But then there is also the sun planet, which is, as Prabhupada says, that in order to live in the sun planet, you must have the same composition, bodily composition, because it's so hot, the temperature is so hot over there. But then there is also the predominating deity, Surya Dev, or Vivasvan, from whom the Bhagavad-Gita was first spoken. To the sun god Vivasvan, Surya Dev. So the impersonalists, they are content, or they cannot be content anyway, because merging in the Brahman effulgence of the Supreme Lord, that means there is no activities, and when there is no activities, there is no ananda, there is no happiness, there is no bliss. We derive, the devotees derive bliss from engaging their senses, the mind, everything, the thoughts, the words, activities, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead's pleasure by serving Him. So the impersonalists, or the Mayavadis, they have concluded that this is their goal. But then as Prabhupada says, they have to come back again because they're not satisfied, they're not content. To reach that platform of brahma-bhūtaḥ for the devotees means also to be one with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But it's not the same becoming one or merging the existence of the living entities with the Supreme Lord. We are all individual living beings, unique, and that uniqueness and individuality will never be lost. It will not disperse, or it will not be, it will always be in existence. But merging, Prabhupada mentions many times, merging or becoming one with the absolute truth means to become one with the desire. The desire of the Supreme Lord is that for everyone to go back home, back to Godhead, and enjoy life full of bliss and eternity, full of knowledge in the spiritual sky. So this is the desire of the Supreme Lord. And for the pure devotees of the Supreme Lord, yes, because they are engaged in the service of the Supreme Lord, even while in the material world, they're also considered to be in that platform of being transcendental. You don't have to wait. You don't have to wait to change your body to be engaged in Krishna's service and be on the transcendental platform after you die. You can be right now spiritually enlightened, being in the Brahman platform or brahma-bhūtaḥ platform, where it says here, being one with the Absolute, one can be fully joyful. Why or how? Because in the brahma-bhūtaḥ platform or spiritual platform, one doesn't have any more sufferings, no more miseries in life, no more anxiety. In the spiritual sky, it's called Vaikuntha, where there is no anxiety. In the material world is Kuntha, it's full of miseries. But one who is engaged in the service, loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is on that platform automatically. Because one who is in the brahma-bhūtaḥ platform or spiritual liberated stage, he does not identify with his body. He understands that he is spirit soul. Eternally, the constitutional position is to be a servant of a servant of a servant of a servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Gopi Bhartu Padakamalaya Dasha 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 Anudas. And therefore, the demands of the senses to enjoy the sense objects with the senses doesn't exist anymore. He is free from hankering for what he does not have, and he does not lament for what he lost. The materialists are like that. They keep on hankering more and more and more. Whenever they see something new, they want to have it, even though they have plenty or so much of that item. Just like in the Philippines, we have this first lady, the wife of the president, and she has thousands and thousands and thousands of shoes. Now, even if she wears one shoe per day with her collection, it will take years to go back again to the first shoe that she wore on the first day. I've seen some sadhus here, especially in Yamuna. There's this one sadhu in Yamuna, and he barely able to walk, and his feet is covered by cloth and it's been tied up with strings. You've seen that? You go to Yugalagat? Yeah, you go to Yugalagat. It's a friend of mine, because we gave some donation a few times, so he will remember you. So every time he sees me, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, and he's always happy. He's always happy. So in that condition, one may say, well, if I'm in that condition, I'll be really miserable. I'll be like, crying, like, hey, why am I like this? But he's very satisfied. If you go to Yugalaga, you'll see him. Now he has a brand new vehicle, like a cycle where he can use. And every day is like that, He will go take bath in Yamuna, untie his custom-made shoes, and then after that, he'll put back again. So, but that first lady or the wife of the president, it was a world record. She's the only one like that. Thousands and thousands of shoes. Can she carry all of those at the time of death? Even at least one? Well, I've seen, in video, there is last rites of the persons who left their bodies, and there's so much gold in their body, full of gold. There's rings and bracelets and necklaces and piles of money. What is the use? They're not going to be able to enjoy that wherever they will go. Of course, they only carry their karma wherever they will go. So, yes, the devotees of the Supreme Lord who are in the brahma-bhūtaḥ platform, they're also being one with the absolute truth, but not the same as being in oneness with the impersonalists or the Brahma, Mayavadis. And Prabhupada mentions here, without being one with the Supreme, the Absolute, one cannot render service unto Him. Which means that to serve the all-pure, you also have to be pure. Right? Which means that the more we develop our relationship with the Supreme Lord, right now we are just attempting to serve the Supreme Lord. Our senses are still contaminated. Contaminated because coming in contact with the modes of material nature, ignorance, passion, and goodness. Therefore, sometimes we still, not sometimes, most of the times, we still identify with our body as the self. And therefore, that is not pure. Purity means you really understand that you are not the body, you're a spirit soul. I'm not an Indian, I'm not a Filipino, I'm not a Russian, I'm not American, I'm not Hindu, I'm not Muslim, I'm not Christian. I'm not this body. And this is what you call upadi. This is our attachment. If we are still attached with this body, or extended wise, to one's wife or husband or children, then you cannot be in that brahma-bhūtaḥ platform. You cannot be. As Prabhupada says, you cannot render service unto Him. I mean, rendering service means wholeheartedly, full of surrender, with love and devotion. We can render service to the Supreme Lord only when we come to that platform of brahma-bhūtaḥ platform. Right now we're just attempting, or we are trying our very best. And Prabhupada gave an example, a very good example, that the more you do it and the more you understand and the more your faith increases, then ultimately one day you'll just wake up, your liberated soul. But it is a gradual process. It's a gradual. You cannot say, okay, tomorrow I'm a pure devotee. No. No, you have to work for that. You have to work for it, isn't it? You have to pay the price. You have to perform austerities. You have to perform Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. And somehow, we are on this platform. The cleansing process. And it is very scientific. It's very scientific. As Rupa Goswami stated in his Nectar of Devotion, it starts with faith, then associating with the devotees, then cleansing of the heart, bhajana kriya, then starting to become fixed, then you start to have taste, and all of these things will come. Eventually, And then, in the absolute, Prabhupada, this is a very interesting statement Prabhupada says. In the absolute conception, there is no difference between the served and the servitor. Yet the distinction is there in a higher spiritual sense. Yes, everyone in the spiritual world are in this Chinmaya Ras. Everyone is spiritually surcharged. Everyone is in that level of purity, full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity. But there is a distinction also that they know. And they recognize Krishna is a Supreme Lord. And we're meant to serve Him. Even a blade of grass, even a blade of grass, even the trees, the animals, the plants, everyone, they know that Krishna is a Supreme Lord. But they have the same quality as a Supreme Lord. Satchit Ananda. So, in the material concept of life, when one works for sense gratification, he becomes miserable. But for the devotees who undergo severe austerities to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they are joyful. So this is one of the symptoms, or the main symptom, or sign. Prabhupada used the word symptom. Usually symptom is used when you are diseased, right? When you go see the doctor, so okay, tell me what are the symptoms? How do you feel? Oh, where is the pain? What are the symptoms? Are you able to sleep? Right? So the number one sign or symptom of a person who is transcendentally situated is joyful, is happy. Of course, he says also though that a devotee of the Lord, he is not happy when he sees others suffering. That's why there's what you call this phrase, paradukha dukhi. When he sees others' sufferings, then he also feels the pain. Because why they should suffer? They should have Krishna consciousness themselves. They should be happy. Unlike the materialists, when they see others happy, they feel also happy. It's the opposite. Oh yeah. I should be the only one who should be happy, and you should suffer. The devotee is not like that. That's just why is that Vasudeva Datta? Vasudeva Datta? Right? Who asked Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to have all the living beings to be liberated. Let their karma be poor unto me. I will take their karma. Let them be liberated. And Srila Prabhupada says, in a sense, that yes, Vasudeva Datta is also, he is, in a sense, he is greater than Jesus Christ. Because for Jesus, anyone who surrender or love his Father or take up to that process, he didn't take all the sins of the world. Well, anyone who will take, but for Vasudeva Datta, whether they take it or not. So this is the mood of the devotee. At the same time, he is joyful. Haridas Thakur also is very merciful, very magnanimous, very compassionate. Haridas Thakur, he shares the mood of Prahlad Maharaj also. Prahlad Maharaj also's mood is like that when he says that, oh, I only have one request. If you want to really give me a boon, that everyone go back home, back to Godhead, including my father, who gave him a hard time. So this is the mood of the devotee. He is happy, he is joyful, but at the same time, he is not that completely joyful in a sense, because when he sees the conditioned souls suffering. The living entity who is engaged in God's service in Krishna consciousness becomes also full in himself, satisfied, content. He is just like a river cleansed of all dirty water. Prabhupada gave an example again. It's like you have a full glass full of water. It's already filled up to the brim. So if you put a drop of ink, well, the drop of ink will overflow. Supposed to be. It should be. But of course, if you put a drop of ink, maybe the whole water also will become colored. But the idea is that you cannot add more. It's already filled up. So similarly, a devotee of the Supreme Lord is like that. He's already fully Krishna conscious. The thoughts at every moment is Krishna. There's no room for Maya. If you're always thinking of Krishna, then there is no room for Maya. The problem is that we're not fully Krishna conscious. That's why thoughts of Maya still appears. So sometimes they may ask, Maharaj, why is it I want to be Krishna conscious, but my thoughts keep on coming. So that will happen only when we become completely Krishna conscious. And the thought and the sincerity of the devotee helps one to one day will become Krishna conscious. We have this motto, always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna. If you remember Krishna, you will never forget Krishna. If you never forget Krishna, you will always remember Krishna. It goes side by side. So again, the process is like that. That's why the sadhu, when they give blessings, they say, Krishna matir astu. Krishna matir astu. That means, may you become Krishna conscious. May you always think of Krishna all the time. He has no desire for material enjoyment because he knows that every living entity is a fragmental part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and therefore eternally a servant. This is his always on his consciousness. Actually, everyone is a servant of the Supreme Lord, but mostly they have forgotten, and Prabhupada says this is our main disease, we have forgotten Krishna. And according to the thickness of the coverings of the modes of material nature, then the more we are in Maya. So, atasi Krishna namadi na babidgrayam indriyai sevan mukhi jivado swayam eva spuradiyata. Jivhado, jiva adho. That means our senses are fully contaminated, our blunt senses, since we have come in contact with the material energy. And we're not able to relish, understand the nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth. And therefore, to uncover that contamination, to uncover our contamination, the contaminated senses, the mind, the intelligence, and our ego, it starts from the tongue. To come to the brahma-bhūtaḥ stage, to come to that pure devotional service, pure stage, it starts with the tongue. Jiva ado. And we use the tongue for two purposes, to vibrate and to taste. That's why Prabhupada says only eat Krishna prasadam, because Krishna prasad is none other than the Supreme Lord's mercy. And whenever we honor prasad, we become purified. Our senses becomes purified. Our existence becomes purified. And also one of the functions of the tongue is to vibrate. And that vibration means to glorify, to chant the name, fame, form, qualities, and pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So the whole world is in a miserable condition. This is the stamp of the material world. Dukkalayam asasvatam is full of miseries and it's temporary. So to get out of this material world and go to where life is full of knowledge, bliss, and eternity, we have to follow the process as enunciated by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which is Sankirtan, congregational chanting of the holy names of the Supreme Lord. Samyak. Samyak means complete. That means everyone. And it's easy. Actually, it is easier to become Krishna conscious in this day and age than in the previous age. Because in the previous age, it's very elaborate. You have to meditate for thousands of years, 60,000 of years, like Vishvamitra Muni. He meditated for 60,000 years. In those days, they lived for 100,000 years, and half of their life is meditation. And then yajna. Yajna means where the ingredients, you have to find pure ghee, not desi ghee. Nowadays they say, oh yeah, this is cow's ghee. Pure cow's ghee costs thousands and thousands of rupees. But now you can buy ghee for 300 rupees, 400 rupees. Where can you find pure cows also? The utensils are very expensive. They're made of gold. That cannot be done in this age. Or deity worship, very elaborate. You have to know proper mantras. If you make one mistake of improper pronunciation of mantras, then it will not be complete, the offerings. But in Kali Yuga, it's like in some places of the world, like in China, they say, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare, Hare, Hare. They don't have R. So how can you... But the intention is, when they chant, they say, oh, energy of the Supreme Lord, please engage me in pure devotional service. So easy. And you can chant, Prabhupada says, in your own language, the meaning. So yes, we're very fortunate. Somehow we're in the age whereby within Kali Yuga there is a golden age, and this is where we are right now. Kali Yuga, the golden age within the Iron Age. We're in that era right now, especially when this temple of Vedic planetarium will be built. Then the glories of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the glories of Sankirtan will be multiplied many, many folds, and it'll be like the religion. This is the religion for this age, Sankirtan, the chanting of the holy names of the Lord. So it says here, such a stage can be achieved by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, who preached pure devotional service in this age. seems to be very difficult to achieve. Yeah, it is difficult, but it is possible. It's not impossible. It is possible. It depends on one's determination, especially. One must be determined. It's like the materialists, they're very determined to get more, accumulate more and more money or opulences, wealth. So a devotee of the Lord has to be determined from the very beginning and until he reaches that platform of brahma-bhūtaḥ stage. The struggling is there, whether in the material world or also in the spiritual platform. But the struggle in the spiritual platform has an everlasting reward. Material platforms struggling, you cannot be satisfied, and it will yield more and more miseries in life. Okay. Prabhupada says here in the lecture, brahma-bhūtaḥ means to make this material world null and void, and you come to the another world, spiritual world. One should be convinced, I don't have anything to do with this material world. One should be convinced that I don't want to take birth again in this material world. Our goal is like, yes, I want to go back home, back to Godhead. But in the higher stage, some devotee says, well, I don't mind taking birth again in the material world as long as I'm engaged in devotional service. As Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, I don't mind being a dog next life as long as I'm in the family of Vaishnavas. That's very high. Now we cannot pray like that right now. Our prayer is like, please, Krishna, engage me in your service and get me out of this material world. Huh?
Pick me up.
Yeah, pick me up. That is our prayers. One who understood Supreme Brahman. Okay, I will stop here now. Is there any questions or any points? Yes. Where's the mic? You have the mic, Parik?
The wire is short for that mic, I think.
Huh?
The wire won't come till here, I think. I'm not sure.
It's short. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You can ask. I can repeat.
One is very small question, like kind of I want to know about it. Like you said that Krishna conscious is very easy, but if we say like we have time to live around maybe 70 or 80 years, and like if we start, and I heard from many devotees when I asked why, like in what way we should talk to Krishna or we just serve Krishna so he can respond, or so that he responds, and they said it will take many years, many lifetime when you will be purified and when you will get determination and something like this. Then Maharaj, how it is like very easy, the Krishna consciousness?
It is easier. It is easier to be in Krishna consciousness than to struggle. That's my point in the material world. See, because that is our nature. Our nature is we are all servants of the Supreme Lord. So it's like it is natural for a child to walk, but then the child has to learn how to crawl in the beginning. So easy in a sense because that is our eternal constitutional position, that we are all servants of the Supreme Lord. To struggle and be in the material world is very difficult. It's easy because all the facilities are there. Prabhupada gave us everything, you know, the books, how to serve the Lord. It's just a matter of our choice, the priority. If you are engaged 24 hours in Krishna's service, you want more and more hours extended. And you see some devotees who really work hard for Krishna, but they're happy. You may see them like, really working hard. But for them, that working hard is not really difficult. That is easy. Because they want to please Krishna. To please our senses, to fulfill the desires of our whimsical mind is very difficult. You have to make elaborate plans to fulfill that desire. But in Krishna consciousness, everything is there. It's just automatically is being provided. A devotee of the Supreme Lord has desire, and those desires only to please Hari, Guru and Vaishnavas. And they all become fulfilled. I have experience of that. It comes. But you have to have the right desire. You have to have the right aspiration. And I'm surprised it's happening to me. So I have to be careful of my desire. Right? If I desire not according to Lord Krishna's desire for me, then I have to struggle so hard to attain that. And I feel miserable. But right now, I don't know, why is it happening this to me? I have this experience. That's why Krishna consciousness is easy. But you have to work hard in the beginning. You have to pay the price. Prabhupada, one of the title of the Prabhupada Lilamrita, let there be a temple. Prabhupada's desires, all of his desires becomes fulfilled. Krishna gives him all the facilities. So we have to be careful. You're in Holy Dham, you're in Vrindavan. And Vrindavan means Chintamani Dham. So you have to be careful of your desires here. Extra careful. Some, they're already in Vrindavan, but they want to go to America. Right? And Krishna fulfills that. They go to America. But then they struggle hard so much over there. And then they come, sometimes they visit Vrindavan, but it's not the same. They're missing the point. When they come here, they don't feel that same joy as those devotees who are living here. They feel happiness.
Why do you feel the same joy when they come?
Because they have to go back again.
Okay.
You have to go back to America or wherever, unless you are preaching. But if you are over there and you're working like a taxi driver or working in a 9-to-5 factory, how can you be happy? You may have so much money, but I know some devotees, they made enough money to come back and live here. That is good. That is fine. But then they still have to be engaged in some service. If you are here in Vrindavan, you have to be engaged in some service. You're not, I'm not saying you, but most of the devotees, they're not on that level of only doing bhajan. Right? They're still, have some missing thing to be engaged in the practical service. That we have to find out, how can I engage in some service? Look at Narendra Krishna Prabhu. He comes for the class. He comes for the morning program. He may say, oh, I just stay home, chant my Hare Krishna Mahamantra and read. No. Isn't it? So Krishna consciousness actually is easy, but it becomes difficult when we have other priorities except Krishna consciousness. Okay? Anything else? Yes?
When devotee asked Prabhupada that there are so many stumbling blocks in the Krishna consciousness.
So many stumbling blocks in Krishna consciousness.
Prabhupada replied that I can kick them in 1 second if you agree to follow my instructions.
I can kick them with my boot.
Everything.
Yeah. If you follow the instruction. Yeah.
Everything is in the books.
Yeah. We don't have to invent anything. We don't have to make up whatever, anything. It's all right there. We don't have to invent anything in Krishna consciousness. Whatever Prabhupada has given us is enough. But there are many challenges that we have to face while executing Krishna consciousness. And usually the challenges are personality conflicts. Personality, dealing with devotees. Because we're in a hospital. Some are more sick.
Someone in ICU.
Huh?
Someone in ICU.
Yeah, somewhere in critical condition. I see you. You cannot even visit in that room. Some are infectious. They have infectious disease, But so you have to be careful also with association. Devotees, there are different levels of association. Some are, more in the materialistic side. Some are more in an advanced than that, and some are like. That's why it's very difficult to find a pure devotee of the Lord. Very rare. Very rare. But you will find them if you're praying to Lord Krishna to get their association.
And how to pray correctly then? Which should we go and say rather that if we get the purest?
Yes, you pray to Lord Balaram. Lord Balaram. He is the energy in Vrindavan actually is an expansion of Lord Balaram's energy. Vrindavan is an expansion of Lord Balaram's energy. So whatever problems you're facing, whatever challenges you are having, whatever anxieties you have, you ask Balaram for help. And with his club, he will pulverize that. He will pulverize to become dust. Even your anarthas. So when you see Lord Balaram, you pray to him. Get rid of your anarthas. Yes. More than Lord Krishna. You pray to Lord Krishna, you pray to all of them, but especially to Lord Balaram. I'm giving you a secret.
Now it's not secret anymore.
Yeah, it's a confidential secret. Okay?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo.